Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market. Oh my goodness. It was like somebody poured jet fuel all over the market or something and just took off. Or could it be a whole bunch of shorts were trying to cover like crazy for quite a few reasons? And I'm going to show you one that came out and just absolutely propelled regional banks like crazy. And of course, people wondering, how do you know it's short covering? Well, when you see stocks up between 40 and 100% one day, it's a hint, okay? That's one thing, okay? Especially after the job report came out. Did you guys see that this morning? And there's another report that came out, even more stunning, which backs up my premise, by the way. As long as we have jobs and keep spending, right, everything else don't mean anything. And we're going to go into the charts as well, because some stocks, like Tesla and others, actually had good news on top of it, right? So here, check this out, man. And it's a good way to bring in the weekend, looking at your portfolio up. But look at this. Unemployment rate drops to 3.4%. It dropped again, which is stunning because when you look at this jobs report right here that came out this month, and it talks about April, job cuts falls to the lowest point of the year. However, up 176% over the same month last year. Year to date, up 322%. Hiring is down 81% year to date. So you're like, wow. And you can see this on the chart here, and I'm going to go to the right over here. And you can see the only time I've had spikes like this, even you go to 08, you didn't see spikes like this, right? The only time you see it's 2020. But you can see this right here is the job cuts announcements, right? And we've seen them. I mean, we've seen the headlines and everything like that. And so that's what was just stunning to see unemployment go down. And it's very important to understand that how they calculate unemployment is absolutely absurd. Okay, let me give you one. There's many reasons why, but one, for example, if you got laid off at your job and you were looking for a job, you're considered unemployed. Let's say you're looking and there's just nothing out there in your area, right? Let's say you live in a small town, maybe, who knows? And so you just stop looking, even if it's for a short period of time. You say, I'm not gonna look for the next few months or whatever. And they call you. They actually, believe it or not, do call you on the stuff like this. And they ask you, and you say, yeah, I'm not going to look for right now. I've looked everywhere. There's nothing out there right now. I'm going to give it a break. Guess what? You are not considered unemployed anymore. Even though you don't have a job, you're not unemployed. Now, if you go back out looking for a job and they call you, go, oh, I'm looking for a job. Now you go towards unemployment, the unemployment rate, right? Isn't that kind of crazy how they do that? That's just one of many ways of how they calculate it, okay? And so, but to see it go down to 3.4, it hadn't been this low since 1969. Most of us were not even born then. Okay, but we're talking, that's kind of numbers we're going back to, right? And of course, what's the Fed futures looking like now, right? They're actually calculating now, as of yesterday, you see the top line was 5.2, the bottom line's 5.4, so they're actually being more aggressive now with these cuts, right? They're being even more aggressive. And remember, this isn't because they think the economy is going to be great or good or anything like that. What they're looking at is sitting there going, man, look, something's going to happen to force the Fed to cut. That's just the way it's going to be. It's going to be some kind of credit crunch or something like that. It's going to force their hand. Now, of course, we've never dealt with inflation, so hey, who knows? Now, speaking of inflation, one thing that doesn't help it is this right here. This blew my mind, guys. Consumer credit change. This is how much we put on credit cards, things like that. $26 billion. Look at the pop up. The crazy part that stunned me was the estimate was for $16 billion. We came in $10 billion higher as far as running up our credit cards and stuff. And look at this right here. This bodes well for us. Revolving credit and credit cards was up 17% in 30 days. Billions. Okay, that is billions of dollars people are putting on credit cards. Which, of course, like I say, guess what? As long as we have jobs, it's fine. You can keep running all that debt up. We can surpass, what are we, $1 trillion or something in debt or something as civilians here, or citizens, excuse me. I'm ex-military, sorry. Citizens, you know, we just keep running up. And that's fine because we have jobs to pay off the minimum payments and all that good stuff. But, you know, that number, again, it's not a problem until it's a problem. Okay, that's the way it is. Like we be running, you know, it's not a problem. You can run all over the pebbles all you want until you slip on one and hit the ground, right? And that's kind of how this works. So we'll see where this goes. I mean, maybe we get to 3% unemployment. Is that even possible? Have we ever been at 3% unemployment? I mean, at this rate, that's kind of how we're going, right? And so now getting to the short covering. Woo! Congrats for people that took the risk on this one. This is what you call short covering, folks. 84% move on PACW. 45% move on whoever WAL is. And you can see the other ones, right? But here's what happened. Yesterday, it came out the White House was monitoring short selling. Then all of a sudden at 7 o'clock this morning, we got other reports, whether it be true or false, talking about how regulators we're thinking about actually banning short selling on these banks. And if you're liking this video, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. That will be the thumbs up right below the video there. Just go ahead and hit that for me. I sure do appreciate it and all your support. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. And of course, they came out and said, well, that's not true. We're not even thinking about doing that, right? So, you know, that doesn't surprise you. But again, if you even thought there's a chance of that and you've already shorted these stocks this far down, there's no way you're going to hang in that. You're going to start covering, right? Now, who knows what's going to go on next week and henceforth. But, you know, no surprise there, which of course helped push markets up, right? I mean, it's like pouring, literally it's like jet fuel, right, on the fire there. Now, I talked about this and I said it yesterday. Before we get to the chart, I said, will they keep us in that pocket again? You can see right here, put this out to members at like 10 o'clock this morning. I said, wow, are we going to get 2 weeks in a row where market makers keep us in this pocket like I called? And you see right there is the pocket, right? It's around between 408, 413, 414, but they sure wasn't about to pay out 415 calls. I can tell you that right now. And so it happened last week, and what happened this week? The exact same thing, right? Big move up on the SPY right here, leaving hence another gap, which eventually we'll have to get filled and stuff. But again, what's the level? I said in the morning brief this morning, bulls will fight like hell to regain 410. That's just the way it's going to be, right? And so what happened? That's what they did. Moved up, captured 412. That puts 413 to 414 in reach. And then, of course, that gap right above that. And then you reach the wall, which has been really, really tough to break through. Again, I hate leaving the gas behind, but it is what it is. Got above that trend line I've been looking for as well, which we broke through yesterday. And, of course, what drove the market up? Apple. Earnings yesterday, last night. It was only about 3% up in pre-market, but boom, took off once again. And you can see big gap up, right? I mean, leaves that gap behind that. Now you got 2 other gaps below that, so 3 gaps below it at this point in time. But you can see, you know, approaching 176-ish, which, of course, has been nice resistance, but the all-time high is 182. And so we're not far away at all from that, so don't be surprised one bit. This keeps getting pushed up. Put in the comments if you think that's going to happen. Because again, when you're a stock, and this is what I have nothing against Apple. What I have against is the market making a stock, you know, 20 to 25% of an ETF, or even like 10% of one index. Like that is absolutely ridiculous, because when it does stumble on something, whatever that may be, and it happens to every company, you know, one stock can absolutely cause panic in a market, which is absolutely insane, and it should never be that way. But again, it is what it is. You know, again, not a problem until it's a problem, and you're going to see. Eventually, it will be a problem, okay? And hopefully you're on the right end of it. But Tesla, you can see what I tell you. What did I say? 165. It breaks 165. You're going to see a big push up, and then that gap is going to be in view. And that's exactly what happened to it. As soon as it broke 165, jet fuel was poured on it, and it just took off. I'm telling you. But what helped it also was this right here. Came out. Tesla sells 75,842 China-made vehicles in April. As you can see, that is a decrease from March, but is an increase over January and February. So again, it's what's supposed to be a slowing economy or whatever in the world. They did good in China. So, of course, people like to see that stuff. And then there's NVIDIA. And we talked about this yesterday right here. What I tell you, the bulls are sitting there saying, nope, all it's doing, it's not coming back down and try to sell off. It's just sitting there running the same pattern it's ran for like 3 months now, where it's just fueling up for the next move up, and boom, busted right back above there. I saw a lot of calls sitting around, was it 297? And so, again, not saying that's going to happen, but just saw a lot of calls up there. So people are expecting another push up. Again, if the market's going to continue to go up, NVIDIA is definitely going up with it. Okay, it's one of the top 10 stocks, and that's just the way it is. Now, Shopify, I'll talk about it again. I was surprised to see this. It went up again 9%. So again, you got this huge gap right here, like a 13% gap that has to get filled, and it will eventually, there's no doubt about it. But again, big gap, but of course, you know, you can see, here we go on the daily, way overbought. All right, so this will get a healthy pullback, which it needs, of course. Now, what helped it? Here's what helps it, folks. Let me take you through this real quick. As you can see, up 8% on the day. That was after a 25% move yesterday. But as you can see, the price upgrades are never ending. Morningstar, 45 to 57. Whoever that is, 40 to 55. UBS, 34 to 64. Don't worry, we're not done yet. RBC, 65 to 75. Let me take a breath real quick. Whoever that is, 46 to 60. Another one, 65 to 70. JPM that was, or JMP, excuse me. National Bank 60 to 80, another one 40 to 53, another one 55 to 67, another one 55 to 65. And so, yes, I don't know how many price upgrades that was, I lost count, but yes, that will push a stock way up. So now it's up 34%, I believe, in 2 days, okay? And so eventually that gap will fill. What it needs now is consolidation. Don't mean it's got to go down and fill the gap, but consolidation is what it needs. But it is definitely famous for filling gaps because it's a high beta stock, right? And so when you look at this right here, I got 2 bonus charts for you, right? And you got to watch these sectors carefully. One is the financials. A lot of people paying attention to this. That is a unbelievably huge level right here. It goes all the way back like 2 or 3 years. And so I was going to see if it come down and touch. It didn't touch. It had a bounce today, but watch out for this. See if it continues up or it comes back down, but it cannot break that level. If it breaks that level, it's going to be a huge drop, and that is not good for the markets, okay? I'm just letting you know now. Now, XLE, it already broke this trend line, which was a very strong trend line, but it's trying to work its way back up. Now, it has the hold right here, right? That line up there, you see the volume profile right there? And so it has to hold that volume node because you see what's below it. It's going to fall through really fast if it does not, okay? Again, oil came back a little bit. Oil's been selling off. Natural gas has been getting killed. And so that will be an interesting to watch because people are watching energy and copper and all these things to see like, well, wait a minute, do they think it's going to be a recession? Is demand slowing down or whatever's going to happen here, right? And so if oil stocks start to fall, financial stocks start to fall, what do you think will happen to the S&P? Okay, and so because people are eventually going to go, oof, wait a minute, what are these falling for? That's the key, right? Because usually financials will lead the way and stuff. But if you're going into a recession, copper should be selling off. You see energy start to sell off, right? And then, of course, financials for a whole different reason. Right now, it's just with where rates are at. Obviously, now that we get to see rates over 5%, sometimes not good for banks. But I'll tell you the one thing, the one lesson I hope, I always say take the best out of any bad situation you can. The one good thing we get to learn is do not at all banks, but at a lot of banks you see, do not put your money in the hands of those people. Because these people are supposed to be making a lot of money to make good decisions, and they decided for whatever reason to go out and load up on bonds before the rate hikes even started. Heck, I told you what, a year ago, I said, I never even played around with bonds with no reason, right? Because Tina, there was no other alternative to the stock market. So I started teaching myself about bonds, showing you guys these charts I was learning. And what's the chart we saw? When yields go up, bonds go down. I mean, a kindergartner can look at that. My son at 7 can look at that and go, that don't look good. You know, and they decided to load up on bonds, and now they're sitting on trillions of dollars, trillions with a T, of unrealized losses, right? So as long as they don't have to sell them, it's all good. As long as they're not forced into the sell, it's all good, right? It's the question of, are they going to be forced into selling? That's why the Fed, for those who still don't know or are new to the channel, that's why they're letting them put those bonds and rate them at mark to market so they can actually take out loans so they don't have to sell them, right? And so that's what the Fed's trying to avoid is them selling them. That's what happened to the other banks, okay? And so, but it's just amazing to me to sit there and go, wait a minute, these guys got degrees. This is what their job is. They're managing your money, or whoever's got their money in there in that bank and stuff, and you're making that kind of investment decision when it's like 101, right? I mean, if the Fed actually does raise rates, bonds are going to suffer. And I guess they said, nah, we're good. I mean, that's just amazing, right? But again, let's also remember these are the same people in 05 through 07 who would call people up who literally did not qualify for a house at all and say, yeah, you're qualified. Right? Who actually talked the people into buying the house because, of course, the person said, hey, honey, it must be real because they called us, right? Predatory lending. They called us and said, well, I want to buy a house. And I said, I'm not qualified. And you go, yes, you are. They're the professional. We must be qualified. It's the American dream, right? So they got us in that situation. Now they got us in this situation, right? It's amazing how this works. Woo, gotta love it, right? Anyway, if you're in that field, I don't know, let us know some in the comments if you have any thoughts on that. Not saying it's all banks. I happen to know somebody that's in that business. Seems like a pretty smart guy, doing well for himself. But that's pretty scary to think that some of the largest banks like these guys are making those kind of investment decisions. So anyway, want to put that out to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of it, guys. Let me know how your day went and everything. And I'll see you Sunday.